Hey everyone, welcome to What's for Dinner Dad. I'm Josh, and today we're going to make spaghetti bolognese. To start off, you're going to preheat a heavy bottom pot like a Dutch oven and add about a quarter cup of olive oil. Then you're going to take 1.5 pounds of ground meat. I'm using turkey, but you could also use beef or chicken or pork. And you're going to lay it into the hot oil and press it down so that you get a lot of browning across the surface area of the meat. I don't want to break the meat up just yet. I want to keep pressing it in until I feel like it's all the way down in the oil. Then I'm going to season it generously with salt and let it sit there and cook and continue browning for 5 to 7 minutes. This is where not breaking the meat up comes in handy. I've got just larger pieces that are a little bit easier to flip over and keep track of in the pan. We've got some really nice browning going here, so I'm going to leave it for another 4 or 5 minutes to brown on the other side. When it's time to remove the meat, I'll take it out in my large pieces into a separate bowl, get every last piece out of there. Then I'm going to reduce the heat, and I'm going to start adding my vegetables. 1 diced medium onion, 1 diced rib of celery, and 1 diced carrot. I'm going to stir them around for a couple of minutes, make sure they get coated in the oil, and I'm also going to take this time to scrape off all these brown bits, because that's where a lot of good flavor is that's in the bottom of my pan. Using a wooden spoon is really helpful here. Metal can scratch your pan, and plastic's probably not going to get the job done. Now it's time to add a couple of tablespoons of chopped parsley, and I'll stir that around and combine it and let that cook for about 1 minute to 2 minutes. Then it's time to add 2 minced cloves of garlic, and just like the parsley, you'll stir that around and let it cook for a couple of minutes. It's important to have the heat low here so that your vegetables don't brown, they just sweat. We don't want the browning here. So now we'll add 1 cup of dry white wine. If you don't have any wine, you can use chicken stock or vegetable stock, and we'll let that cook for about 5 minutes uncovered so it can reduce and the alcohol can cook out. Let's talk about tomatoes. This can of San Marzano tomatoes has the DOP seal, certifying its origin as authentic. That means it's grown in the San Marzano region of Italy. These type of tomatoes don't usually have any extra preservatives in them, so they don't need a ton of cooking time to get rid of the canned taste. They are probably the best canned tomatoes that you can buy on the market. They are definitely worth the extra cost, in my opinion. I'm going to carefully pour these into a bowl and then gently and slowly crush them by hand. I just want to make sure I take my time here so that I don't end up spraying tomato juice all over myself or all over the kitchen. You might run into some skin pieces like I did here. If you do, just pull them out and dispose of them. But keep crushing these carefully by hand until they're in a nice pulpy texture like this. And then you're going to carefully add them into your pot with the rest of the vegetables and stir to combine, making sure that everything is one homogeneous mixture. Once your tomatoes and vegetables are incorporated together, you'll season generously with some salt and let that cook uncovered over medium heat for about 5 to 10 minutes until it looks like this. My tomatoes have cooked down, the juice in them has reduced, and it's pretty much a complete homogeneous mixture of vegetables and tomatoes. So I'm going to remove this from the pot, and this next part is optional. My kids don't love the whole vegetables in there, so I like to blend it up with an Immersion blender. You could put your sauce in a traditional blender, or you could put it in a food processor to accomplish this too, but I blend it up until it's smooth. Just be very careful because it's hot, especially if you're in a traditional blender or a food processor. The steam from your sauce could actually cause the top to come off and spray everywhere, and that would be just a big disaster. So I've added my meat back to the pot and broken it up into smaller pieces, and now I'm going to carefully pour my blended tomato sauce back over the top. Take plenty of time to stir this and combine. You might want to reduce the heat like it looks like I forgot to do. You shouldn't have your sauce bubbling up quite like that. But you want to keep stirring this and breaking up the meat into smaller pieces until it looks like your traditional bolognese sauce. Once again, make sure that you've reduced the heat because I've got some sauce here that's jumping out of the pot because I have the heat on too high. If you reduce the heat, that won't happen. Anyway, you want to keep stirring this until your sauce is very thick. Remember, it is a meat sauce, so it should be very thick. And then once it's all combined, cover it and let it cook for anywhere between 15 minutes to 2 hours, again over some low heat. And now we've come to the main event. I've cooked my pasta according to the package directions for al dente, and while it's still steaming hot, as you can see, I'm adding my bolognese sauce right out of the pot on top of the pasta. This is a nice hearty portion here. Lots of sauce right on top of this nice bed of pasta. final step is going to be taking some Parmigiano Reggiano, grating it fresh over the top as much as your heart desires. And that's it. I hope you enjoy your bowl of spaghetti bolognese. If you found this episode helpful, saw something useful, or want to try a recipe, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow on social media for updates and to ask questions. I'm Josh, and this is What's for Dinner, Dad.